When I was 20, I was saving people from fire. When I was 45, I was saving my family from utility debts, fast food, and, as it turned out, from myself. You know, there's this thing. You work, you plow, you toil until your back crunches, and then one night you come home and that's it. You're no longer a husband, no longer a breadwinner, no longer a human being. You're just an ATM machine with your jacket on attack. I came home from duty on Friday, tired, smelly, but happy that I had time to buy groceries at a discount. Potatoes, frozen veggies, a pack of chicken fillets, and, God forgive me, gas station coupons. The house is quiet. Well, I think maybe they're asleep. I walk into the kitchen, and there's a party like we're eating like Hollywood. There are 3 boxes of Five Guys on the table, a bottle of Coke, and this jackass Trevor, my wife's brother, is sitting there in his socks, grinning and munching on a burger on me. "Hey, Robert," he says lazily, not taking his eyes off his phone. "Hey," I say. "Don't you know we're saving money here?" Lauren shows up on cue. All tired, like she just run a marathon. In fact, she's been online all day, browsing stores. "Don't start," he says to me. "He's a guest. He's a parasite, Lauren. He's been living with us for 8 months. Not a dime, no help, no thanks. All he does is eat and sleep and pretend to look for work. Do you even know how much that food he's shoveling into himself right now costs?" She crossed her arms and looked at me like I just kicked a puppy. "You just want to take your problems out on him. Like it's his fault your paycheck got cut. I don't want sacrifice, I want justice. We're paying for 3 people. And only one of us is working. Maybe you should stop being so mean. Or maybe you both should stop being so cocky." Trevor grinned. "Relax, man. I'll get a job. Before or after the second coming." He stood up as if offended. That hypocrisy was killing me. I went out to the backyard in silence. I went into the workshop, took out a notebook, started writing down the month's expenses. Gas, lights, groceries. It's all on me. And on their side, new sneakers, an HBO subscription, and some mysterious payments I hadn't made. And then it hit me. I realized, it's not just laziness. It's a pattern. I'm missing something. I went back into the kitchen. I sat down. I looked at Trevor. He wasn't chewing anymore. He was fiddling with his phone. Probably looking for somewhere else to order food on someone else's dime. "Did you pay for the food today?" I asked. He shrugged. "Nope. Lauren said it was okay. Have you ever paid at all?" "Well, I'm not settled yet." He started. "In 8 months you couldn't even get a job as a cashier?" He stopped talking. Lauren came back on. "We've been over this. You're just bitter. That's your problem." "My problems?" I nodded. "You call it a problem that I don't want to support a bum? Or that there's money disappearing from the joint account that you didn't mention?" She froze. "What are you talking about?" $1,400 is gone. 3 payments. In the name of someone named D. Morris. Lauren reached for her phone. Her hand shook. "It's the counselor. I told you. You never told me. You never told me. He's not a counselor. He's a realtor." Now she's quiet. "What, did you hire a cop?" "I'm my own cop. And an accountant. And the only adult in this house." Trevor stood up. "Look, maybe you need a therapist. Maybe you need the real world where you pay for your food and don't get the wife's brother privilege." He's gone. Lauren stayed. Lips tight. Eyes racing. Panic swarmed through her like rats under the floor. "Robert," she began. "It's late. Very late." I got up. Slowly. Without screaming. No hysterics. But inside it was like a fire. Only now I didn't want to put it out. I just started collecting papers. Silently. No explanation. Because something told me this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The next day, I woke up before everyone else. I poured myself a cup of coffee. Not because I wanted to, I just needed something to hold on to, so I didn't punch my fist into the wall. Opened my laptop. Double-checked the transactions. Everything matched. Time, IP, confirmations. Except for one thing. I didn't give those commands. I went to my email account. Recovered the deleted emails. Among them, correspondence with the same D. Morris. Douglas fucking Morris. Finalizing details of the deal, awaiting confirmation from the other side. The second party was fucking me. I was quietly boiling. Not loudly. I just started putting everything in a separate folder. Screens, emails, logs. Old receipts, signatures. I spent 20 years working fires. I know how to record when the smoldering starts. Lauren came downstairs in her robe. Are you sitting in your cave again? Yeah. And you know what? This time it's for a reason. You do realize you're making this harder than it has to be, right? I'm not complicating anything. I'm just finally starting to notice who's living in my house and what they're doing with my money. She wanted to say something, but she didn't. She turned and walked away. I went into town. No warning. No yelling. Went into the office to see an old acquaintance, a guy from digital forensics. We used to put out a chemical warehouse together. If anyone knew how to tell a real signature from a fake, it was him. He looked at the papers, the screens, the electronic signature. Rob, you've been set up. I know. Do you want me to pull up the archives? Don't. Not yet. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy. He nodded. You're not. But be warned, if the signature is used from your IP, it'll be hard to prove it's not you. I exhaled. So we'll dig deeper. I got home in the late afternoon. The house was like a museum on Fridays. Quiet, clean, and stuffy. Lauren was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables like nothing had happened. Like it was just a normal day. Like she wasn't trying to fuse the house behind my back. You want dinner? She asked without turning around. Oh. I was making a salad, your favorite. Doesn't change the point. Did you know I'd find out? She put the knife down. Turned around. I thought you'd never look. You were always too busy. And you were always good at pretending everything was normal. I wanted to save us, Robert. I wanted you to work less. I wanted us to move. Move? Without me? Silence. And there it is, the real face. Not hurt. Not confused. Cold. Calculating. You don't have time anyway. Just your shifts, your workshop, and your ever-empty stare. You don't live with us. You're just an inhabitant. So you've decided to cross it off? I've decided to start over. Without you. I'm sitting down. Do you realize what you did? I just signed the papers. With my signature. Without my consent. You would have said no anyway. Is that why you decided not to ask? I did what I thought was right. That's when I realized I didn't need to yell anymore. No need to argue. It's already clear. I got the flash drive. Copies. Protocols. Correspondence. I put it on the table. I'll get it all to you. Not today. But I will. But. Because one day you have to answer for what you do. She didn't say anything. I stood up. I looked at the house. The walls I'd built myself. The windows I put in. The kitchen where there had once been dinners and laughter and the smell of cinnamon. It's all gone. But something remains. I walked outside. Breathed in the evening air. You know what a house without family smells like? The mold of memories and the deafening echo of lies. Walked to the workshop. Locked the door. Threw my laptop in my bag. Took the old uniform off the wall, the one I hadn't worn since I'd been in the reserves. Took out a photo of him and his son. The only person who still remembered who I was. And that's when I said out loud to myself, you're not broken. Just taken out of the equation. I knew the road ahead was going to be tough. Paperwork, courts, lawyers. But I was ready. Because now I could see it all clearly. And no longer did I have to pretend this was temporary. No, this was real. I got into the pickup truck. The key turned with a distinctive click. The engine started smoothly, unlike the people who'd promised to be there. The headlights cut through the darkness, and I drove forward not out of pain, but toward freedom. And Lauren stayed home. And Trevor. And an empty kitchen. Without the smell of cinnamon. From that moment on, I never returned to the house as a husband again. Only as a man who had once been silent for too long. And yet he spoke. What happened next changed everything. Subscribe and stay, you won't want to miss how it unfolded. What started out as a financial crack became something much bigger, a systemic betrayal. Not just between Lauren and me, but between the person who'd been silent all along and those who'd taken advantage of that silence. I haven't slept. 3 nights. And not because I was scared. It was because I needed to understand everything down to the last comma. I checked every transaction in the account. Every movement. Every transaction. Anything that looked even slightly suspicious. And soon the picture came together. First, the $1,400. Then, small transfers to accounts I didn't know about. All from the same device. My Wi-Fi. My account. Someone used my biometrics. Or copied it. Or accessed it when I wasn't looking. When you work with fire, you learn to see a fire start. It never starts with thunder. It always starts with silence. The smell. The feeling that something's wrong. And I knew something had been smoldering in my house for a long time. I went to the bank office. A personal visit. Old suit, stern voice, direct gaze. I know how to do that. It's from the army. They don't respect a squeal, but they do respect a hard jaw and paperwork. The young girl behind the counter, clearly fresh out of college, smiled plastically. What can I do for you? I laid out the printouts in front of her. All the translations. All the dates. All the signatures. I need to find out who did this. I didn't authorize it. She flipped through the paperwork. But everything went through authorization. It's your IP. Your device. So someone used it. Or tampered with the access. I'm sorry, but if the signature is verified, we have no reason to invalidate it. Even if I have an alibi for every day of the transaction? She froze. Then she mumbled something about security. Soon a man in a suit came out. Polite, with a rehearsed smile and a bored look in his eyes. Mr. Matthews, everything you're showing us, we can verify. But the system makes it look legitimate. Even if I was on the call and I didn't have access to the device? It's more complicated. We have no way to trace the physical user. Only a digital trail. What if it's digital fraud? He shrugged. Then you have to go to the police. And if it's your system that's failing? Same gesture. Same eyes. Same words. We're just a bank. Not a court of law. Not an investigation. That's great. So the system that was supposed to protect me just turned its back on me. I walked out of there feeling like I was alone. And nobody owes me anything. I drove home, but I didn't go into the garage. I just stood on the street corner, watching. Lauren's figure glimmered in the kitchen window. She was on the phone. Gesticulating. Laughing. Not an ounce of alarm. Not a shadow of doubt that she might be caught off guard. That was a revelation too. While I was going through her discharge papers, she went on with her life. Cooking. Drinking coffee. Talking. Using my house, my account, my life as if everything was rightfully hers. And me? I was just temporary. I turned around and drove on. Not home. To a hotel. An old one by the road. A room with shabby walls, but with a power outlet and internet. That was enough for me. I pulled out my laptop and started compiling a dossier. All the phone logs, geolocations, app activity, connection lists. I was collecting it like you collect evidence at a fire, piece by piece. Every little thing could turn into evidence. Every trace could lead to a fire. Then I remembered the tablet. The one that Lauren used for shopping. When I found it, it was on the bedside table. I opened it, and the password was the same. She hadn't even bothered to change it. And that's where I found the most important thing. Emails. Scans of contracts. Drafts of correspondence with Morris. The D. Morris. The smiling guy from the real estate website. Awaiting consent from the other party. The paperwork is tentatively ready. Lauren, all you have to do is push the button. Holy shit. I saved everything. Every line. I threw it on a flash drive, archived it, and encrypted it in 3 copies. I wasn't paranoid. I just knew how the schematics worked. And I knew that if it went down, I had to be ready. The next morning, I went back into town. But not to the lawyers. To an old friend, Jake. He'd left the force 5 years ago, but he was still a private investigator. He did digital investigations. Could crack a laptop in half an hour, and do it in a way that even Apple wouldn't suspect. Take, I said. I need everything. Signatures. Signatures. Anything that proves I'm not me. He looked at me and nodded. No questions. No emotion. Just got to work. It'll be ready in 2 days, he said. But be warned. If they're smart, it's all cleaned up. And if they're not? He smiled. Then they got the wrong guy. 2 days later, Jake sent me the report. A flash drive. Password. 73-page document. Every page is a spit in the face. They used a stored image of your signature, he said. The device was in the house. All the key authorizations went through it. The programs didn't pick up the tampering because everything went through a trusted environment. You mean from the tablet? That's right. And that can be proven? Yeah. If it goes to trial, you have a good chance. But mentally, it's going to be tough. I'm not afraid of hard. I'm afraid of staying in the middle of a lie and pretending it's okay. I thanked him. I left. My head was buzzing. Not from anger, from the silence that always comes after proof of betrayal. I drove up to the house again. Only now I didn't hide. I stepped onto the porch. Opened the door. Smelled like vanilla inside. Lauren was baking something. Again trying to pretend everything was the same. She heard my footsteps and came out. Where have you been? Where they're collecting the truth. What? At Jake's. You remember him? Her face twitched. Robert, I don't. I know everything. The signatures, the transfers, the deals, Morris. The tablet. You left more traces than an acetone warehouse fire. She sat down. Realized it was too late to defend herself. You made all that up in your head. Oh. You made it up so I wouldn't notice. Now listen, I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna turn in all the materials when I feel like it. And if you think I'm doing this out of spite, you're wrong. Then why? Because you crossed the line. And because someone has to take responsibility for it. She didn't say anything else. That same night, I left. I took only the essentials. My papers. A flash drive. A photo of my son. The keys to the old house in the country. And before he left a note on the kitchen table. You wanted freedom. Now you have it. But be careful. Freedom doesn't give you the right to steal another man's life. I walked out into the night. The wind was warm, but it was cold inside. Because the truth is always cold. But it warms better than any lie. The cottage outside of town greeted me with silence. My father used to live here. Old furniture, creaking floorboards, a shabby carpet, and the chair where he used to read the newspapers. I closed the door behind me, and for the first time in a long time I felt like I was in a place where I could breathe. I didn't turn on the light. I just sat down. Put the thermos of coffee on the windowsill. The lights of passing cars flashed on the street, rare, steady, not interfering with my loneliness. And you know, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt liberated. My phone beeped, 3 unanswered calls from Lauren, 2 from Trevor. I didn't answer it. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wasn't going to be available anymore. To them, I no longer existed. The next morning, I recorded a short video message. Not for the public. For myself. So that one day my son, if he wanted to understand, would see for himself. Not from rumors. Not from hearsay. But firsthand. If you're watching this, you want to know why I left. Because when you don't talk for too long, other people start talking for you. But the truth is simple. Your mom stopped being with me long before I did. And if you ever feel like you're being pushed to lie for the sake of convenience, remember that honesty doesn't make you weak. It makes you alive. I saved the video. And turned my phone off. This is the climax. Everything you've been waiting for is right here. Subscribe now to see the hero put everyone in their place. You think that once the truth is out in the open, it'll get easier. That people will repent, realize. That the world will take your side when they see the evidence. But reality is a stage without an audience. Where you hope for justice, more often than not, there is silence. I spent the first week at the cabin quietly. I fixed the fence, rewired the wiring, boarded up the shutters. I did it with my hands so I wouldn't go crazy with my head. Every day started with coffee, ended with reading old Firehouse magazines. There was therapy in that. Simple, raw, honest. But calm is not indifference. I wasn't ready to let go. Because what they did was not a personal drama, but a clear, messy scheme. I'd seen how schemes like that worked from other people's examples. Now she was coming for me. And I wasn't about to let her go in peace. I went to a lawyer. Calm, with gray hair on his temples and a voice like he'd survived 3 divorce wars and remained intact. I showed him the flash drive, the documents, Jake's report. "You're not just dealing with a breach of trust, Mr. Matthews. You're a victim of property fraud. This is a criminal story." "I don't want blood," I said. "I want justice." Sometimes it's the same thing. We filed a motion to suspend all real estate transactions involving my information. It's been filed. Slowly. Through procedures. Bureaucracy is not a fire, you can't knock it out with a jet of water. But I knew it was going the other way. And then the call started. "Lauren first. Robert, let's talk. We can work this out. I meant no harm." I didn't say anything. Then Trevor. "Hey man, don't be crazy. You know how stupid this whole thing looked. Let's just, reset." Then Morris. "Mr. Matthews, I apologize if there's been a misunderstanding. I was misled by..." Reset. Then Lauren's attorney. "My client is willing to compromise if you..." Reset. "They called because they smelled something fishy. When you don't talk, they think you're broken. When you act, they get itchy." I didn't answer. Not because I wanted to punish you. It was because I was busy. I was preparing a statement for court. I was making copies. I was compiling files. I talked to other men who had been through the same thing. There were a lot of them. Too many. I wasn't alone. Alone, yes. But not alone. Each of them had a story to tell. Some about forging a power of attorney. One about selling his house while in the service. One about losing everything, including his own children, because he believed the wrong people. And you know, they didn't scream. They didn't thrash around. They talked like old warriors. Tired. No pathos. Just because the truth gets tired of noise. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I was looking for truth. And the truth, as it turned out, smelled like paper dust, notary paint and coffee in a plastic cup. Because that's where the Real story lived. In the archives, in the deeds, in the extracts. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an investigator. A real one. Not a lawyer, not a clerk, not an empty answering machine voice. "Mr. Matthews, we've received the documents. I'd like to discuss the details." Without the pomp and circumstance. I wore the same jacket I'd used to save people 15 years ago. It was smooth inside. I wasn't shaking anymore. Because when you lose everything, all that's left is your back, and you keep it straight. "Are you sure the signature isn't yours?" "Positive. And I have proof. Your former realtor claims he was acting under a contract signed by both parties. And he's lying." "All right, but we have to look into it. Check it out. I have everything I need." I put the flash drive, the printouts, Jake's report on the table. The investigator watched in silence. Nodded. Took notes. "You could be facing a countersuit. Let him. I'm not seeking revenge. I'm defending myself." He nodded again. "I understand. One last thing. Are you prepared for this to go to trial?" "I wasn't born with slippers." He smiled for the first time. "Then I think you have a chance." I walked out of the office and I realized I'm not a victim now. Now I'm a participant. And soon I'll be a witness. And then a winner. Not because I hurt someone, but because I pulled myself out of my own shadow. As the case progressed, I would go back to my place. Not as a hiding place, but as an assembly point. I rebuilt the shelf, went through the tools, started to rewrite down expenses. For the first time in a long time, there was order in my life, not around, but within. Sometimes I remembered the way Lauren had looked at me the last night. Not with guilt. Not with pity. With annoyance. She was annoyed that I hadn't given up. That I hadn't made it easy for her. That I still was, no matter what. One day, I saw Trevor. In the parking lot at the supermarket. He spotted me, and turned away. He was with someone. He got in his car quickly and drove off. Didn't come over. Didn't apologize. And I realized he wasn't afraid of me. He was afraid of himself around me. Because I reminded him that he was nothing. A month later, the court ordered a freeze on the deal. The house is mine. All the paperwork, signatures, transactions are now under investigation. Morris lost his license. And you know, I wasn't happy. I just checked a box. Cleared a point. One of many. And then I got a subpoena. From Lauren. She filed a countersuit. Not for property. For psychological duress. Really? The woman who was secretly trying to sell the house is now accusing me of looking too harshly in her direction? I went to court. I sat down. I smiled, and I said, I brought all the records, including phone calls, emails, and a list of purchases made from my account while I was away. The judge looked at her. Then he looked at me. Mr. Matthews, do you want to countersue? Oh, I want to be left alone. That's a rare wish. It's an honest wish. It was over quickly that day. No fuss. No final scene. Lauren left without even looking at me. It was like those years never happened. Like it was all just a mistake. Only I knew there was only one mistake. She mistook my silence for weakness. After 2 months, I finally moved into the cabin. Not because I couldn't go back, but because I didn't want to. There, in the old house, it didn't smell like lies, or deals, or other people's perfume. It smelled like wood and dust and peace. I built a new pantry. I fixed the roof. I got a dog, big, stupid, always hungry. I named him Diesel. He and I used to walk in the mornings and never look back. Sometimes I'd see the news. Morris was under investigation. The agency was shut down. Trevor was rumored to have taken a job in delivery. Lauren, I don't know. Didn't want to know. I didn't follow her. I didn't retaliate. I just blanked her out. Like an old tape recorder, pressed delete and never regretted it. My son wrote me one day. A short message. Dad, I saw the video. You're right. I'll be there. I didn't cry. I just sat on the porch, put an old pillow under my back and watched the sunset color the tree. It was that moment when you don't win, you don't lose, you just live. Without the noise. Without labels. Just like a person who left home once, and never came back to a place where they stopped calling you by your name. And here I sit. Still the same house, still the same veranda, only now without other people's voices or unnecessary explanations. I'm writing this for those who think silence is a weakness. Silence is a choice. It's a way to let people talk so you can say what matters. I wasn't broken. I was just thrown off a stage I didn't want to play on anymore. I'm not a hero. I'm just a person who one day got tired of "it's okay" and chose no more. And if you're reading this, maybe you're standing at the same crossroads right now. Look ahead. There won't be loud music and applause. But there will be silence. And in that silence, you are the real you. And that, believe me, is more important than any other man's approval.